I'm 78 years old, and I'm going to tell you something that might upset you, not because it's shocking, but because you'll probably recognize yourself in it. I spent 57 years of my life believing the same things you probably believe right now about time, about success, about what matters. And I was wrong about almost everything. You see, I had what most people would call a good life. I worked at a manufacturing plant for 35 years, started on the floor, worked my way up to supervisor, nothing fancy, but it was steady, good paycheck, benefits, the kind of job your parents would be proud of. I had a house in a decent neighborhood, 2 cars in the garage, kids who did well in school. From the outside, everything appeared to be fine. Better than fine, actually. I thought I had it figured out. But at 55, something happened that changed everything. And what I've learned in the 23 years since then, I'm not sure if I can explain it properly, but I'm going to try. It was a Tuesday. I remember because the trash truck was running late that morning and the noise was still echoing in my head. When I arrived at work, I was in a meeting about production schedules. Nothing special, just another day. That's when I felt it. This pressure in my chest, like someone was sitting on me. I thought it was heartburn. I'd had a big breakfast. Eggs, bacon, the works. Ellen always said I ate too fast. Then the left side of my face went numb. My words started coming out wrong. People were staring at me. Someone called 911. The next thing I remember is waking up in a hospital bed 2 days later. Stroke. A massive one, they said. I was lucky to be alive. Pause. Ellen was there when I woke up. She'd been crying. I could tell because her eyes were puffy, and she was wearing the same blue sweater she'd had on Tuesday morning. She hadn't gone home, and lying there, looking up at that ceiling, something hit me. Not the stroke, something else. I realized I'd been asleep my whole life. Not literally, but I don't know how else to say it. I'd been going through the motions, checking boxes, doing what I thought I was supposed to do. If I died that day, and I almost did, what would I have left behind? A house that would get sold? A job that would replace me within a month? Some plaques in a box somewhere that nobody would ever look at? I kept thinking about this one thing. If my kids had to describe me at my funeral, what would they say about me? He worked hard. He provided for us. Is that it? Is that all I was? Here's the thing I wish someone had told me. When I was 30, when I was 40, hell, even when I was 50, you think you have time. You don't. I used to tell myself the same things you're probably telling yourself right now. When I get that promotion, then I'll relax. When the mortgage is paid off, then we'll travel. When I retire, then I'll finally do the things I want. That day never comes. It just doesn't, because there's always something else. Always another reason to wait. I had a friend, Frank, good guy. We'd worked together for years. He was always saying, next year, I'm going to slow down, take some time off, maybe go fishing. Next year never came. He had a stroke at 65, died 3 days later. At his funeral, it was raining. Everyone's umbrellas kept bumping into each other, and his daughter said something that stuck with me. She said, my father worked his whole life, but I barely knew him. Pause. I stood there in the rain thinking, that could be me. That could have been me. After I was discharged from the hospital, I started paying attention, really paying attention, to the things I'd been putting off, to the people I'd been neglecting. My father died when I was 48. We had a complicated relationship. There were many things we never discussed. I always figured we'd work it out eventually. When I had more time, when things calmed down, he had a heart attack on a Sunday morning, gone before the ambulance got there. You know what I regret most? Not the big things, the small things, the Saturday mornings. I could have driven over just to have coffee with him. I didn't make it because I was tired from work. All the times I said, maybe next week, and next week never came. He had this old chair in his living room, brown leather, worn on the armrests from years of use. That's where he'd sit every evening. I can still picture him there. And I think about all the evenings I could have sat with him and didn't. The things that keep me up at night aren't the failures. They're the successes. It's the things I never did. The trip to Alaska, I kept postponing. The book I always wanted to write, but never got started on. The conversations I never had because I was too busy, too tired, or too something. You think you'll have another chance. You won't. Not always. After the stroke, I changed things, stepped back from work, started saying no to things that didn't matter, started saying yes to things I'd been putting off for decades. And you know what? These last 23 years have been the best of my life. Not because I have more money or more stuff, but because I finally started paying attention. I've traveled to places I'd only dreamed about, spent real time with my kids and grandkids, picked up woodworking again, something I'd dropped in my 30s because I was too busy, said I love you more times than I can count. I'm happier now at 78 than I was at 35. And that's, I don't know, maybe that's sad. All those years I wasted thinking happiness was somewhere in the future. What matters is embarrassingly simple. Time with people you love, work that means something to you, being present, actually being there, not just physically, but there. I know what you're thinking. That's easy for you to say. You're retired. I've got bills. I've got responsibilities. And you're right. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. I'm not saying ignore your obligations. But I am saying this. Stop trading the things that matter for the things that don't. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment doesn't exist. It never did. If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, here's what I'd say. Stop trying to impress people who won't remember you in 5 years. Stop sacrificing your health for a job that will replace you in a week. Stop putting off joy until someday. Pause. Start calling the people you love. Not next week. Now, start taking the trips you've always dreamed about. Start doing the things that scare you. Start saying no to things that drain you. And yes, to things that fill you up. And for God's sake, start today. Not after this project. Not after this deadline. Not when things calm down. Today, because here's the truth. I learned lying in that hospital bed. Things never calm down. Life is always messy. There's always a reason to wait. And if you wait long enough, you run out of time to wait. I'm 78. Perhaps I have 10 years left. Maybe less. I don't know. Nobody does. But I know this. I don't want to waste whatever time I have left. And I don't want you to waste yours either. So I'm asking you what I wish someone had asked me 40 years ago. What are you waiting for? Pause. What are you putting off? That you could do today? The clock doesn't stop. It never has. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, it runs out. If any of this stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'm not making these videos for views. I'm making them because I'm running out of time to say what matters. Leave a comment. Tell me what you're going to do differently. I read everyone. Pause. The clock is ticking. What are you going to do with your time?